My name is Luis Perez-Pete. I serve as chair of the Historic Districts Commission in Concord. Welcome to the August 3rd meeting of the Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission. The commission will review 2 continuances and 1 new application this evening. We will also conduct some additional business at the end of the meeting. We are conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comments on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in and cannot use the platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking to preserve bandwidth and may need to turn off video with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. I will call on each commissioner for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, I would ask for a motion from the commission to continue, to approve with conditions, or to reject. A second, and then conduct a roll call vote. Once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to leave the meeting. We will do a roll call of the members of the commission. Walter Clay.
Present.
Dennis Fiore.
Present.
William Hewitt.
Present.
Catherine Mast.
Present.
I understand that Kate Schartner will not be present, nor will Paul Ware and Timothy Whitney. Now, is Melinda Shumway present?
I'm here.
All right. So the voting members will be the full commissioners present: Melinda Shumway, Catherine Mast, William Hewitt, and myself, and Dennis Fiore. So we'll proceed to the first public hearing, which is Christopher Davis, 525 Lexington Road, American Mile Historic District, to regrade the existing asphalt driveway and construct an additional driveway off Lexington Road, construct fieldstone walls and piers, a pool, a spa, a pool cabana with covered outdoor patio, masonry grill, fieldstone, fireplace, pergola, and detached carriage house and bluestone sitting terraces, walk stairs and steps. So is the applicant here or a representative?
Muted.
Is Mr. Davis here?
He's muted, Luis.
Dan Gordon. Dan
Oh,
Gordon
Dan
is the one you want. Yep.
Oh, okay. Dan Gordon, the landscape architect, right?
He needs to unmute.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. My name is Dan Gordon. I'm here on behalf of Karen Chris Davis, and I'm a landscape architect. I also just wanted to start out, you gave a great summary of the project. I'm prepared to walk through the drawings in detail and just give you a little bit more detail. I would like to start out by just mentioning our team. The architect is Ruth Bennett. The builder, Norman Wellen from Wellen Construction, is here. And the folks from my team, Patrick Taylor and Stephen Resendez, are also listening in. But I'll make the presentation for the landscape component and be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And then I'll pass it over to Ruth Bennett to discuss the architecture and present that to you. My understanding is that you have the images that we submitted as part of this package.
I believe that is correct. Can we share those images, Anne or Haley?
Thank you. So this is an existing conditions plan, and there's several photographs that are keyed to this plan. This is actually a property that you reviewed a couple years ago when we did some additions to the existing home. But the new work, as you mentioned, well, let me just take you through this existing conditions plan. If you zoom in on the left-hand side, you can see Lexington Road, and there's a driveway that enters. It's somewhat circuitous, and it has a couple blind turns. And if you're not familiar with the property, that driveway climbs steeply 50 or 60 feet from Lexington Road up to the top of a bluff where the house is located, the existing residence. And the residence is shown there. And then the property is quite deep. And the back portion of the property is partially lawn and partially wooded. So that's the existing condition. And there may be some photos that help walk us through this a little bit later on. But why don't we just go to the next slide? This is the proposed conditions plan. And it breaks down into two primary areas: the work at Lexington Road, which includes, and if we could just zoom in on that left-hand side of the plan a little bit, it'll be easier to see. So here you see Lexington Road and a second driveway cut that we're proposing. And this is for two reasons. One, fire safety has been an issue with trucks traversing this hairpin turn. And this secondary access is going to ease that condition. The second thing that happens is, on occasion, people traveling down Lexington Road will turn into the driveway and by accident or for whatever reason, and don't have an opportunity to reverse direction until after they've climbed, gone several hundred feet into the property and climbed up to the top of the bluff where the house is before they can turn around. So those are two reasons why we're asking for this secondary driveway cut. And we understand that there's other departments that will need to review this, but in asking them, they thought this was the best first place to have your review of this proposal. In addition to the cut, which were the second curb cut that we're requesting, landscape improvements along Lexington Road would include a stone wall in the character of other walls along Lexington Road, and plantings to soften and screen and provide a nice streetscape along Lexington Road, basically to add to the canopy of and vegetation along Lexington Road. Because of, if you're familiar with the site, this really is the presentation of the property and sets the character of the property. Not really proposing to change it much, really just trying to build on the visual quality that exists in this area. Beyond that, there are two lights, but I think there's post lights that will show up, but I think they're going to show up on a lighting plan that we've prepared for you. So from here, the existing driveway basically remains, other than that existing curb cut, that additional one section. And now if we go to the right-hand side of the plan, you can see the existing house. And here is the proposed carriage house, swimming pool, and a little pool cabana. And all of this is located within our property, meeting all the setbacks and regulations of the town. And there'll be some other images later on, but it basically builds on the materials that have already been established on the property, which you had approved at previous times. So I think that covers this plan. So we can go to the next plan. And this plan is our lighting plan, and you can see two red dots at the entrances. Those are post lights. Now I know these are subject to certainly subject to review, but these I should preference by saying all of the proposed lighting is dark sky compliant, and meets your, and is within or under your, I think it's 420 watt lumen. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head here, but it's under your the lumen criteria of your guidelines. So these would be traditional lantern post lights with the luminaire tucked underneath the shroud so that there's no glare, no light trespass, and in the character of the community. Those are the two lights at the street. As we move up into the property where the proposed pool and pool houses are located, there are other lights there, and it might be on a separate sheet, or it might, yeah, here it's on a separate sheet. These are all, the green lights are low path lights. Again, they're shrouded. The light is cast down on the walkways. There are some down lights in the pergola structure that are in orange. There are two types of path lights. Some are set just within the paving and some are cast down. But again, all of these are very subtle task lights and within the full dark sky compliant and within the full criteria of your regulations. The next photo is looking at, image is looking at materials. Here we're calling out this fieldstone wall. We will show you an image of what that looks like. We have some granite banding at the end of the driveway. We have some driveway paving material that we'll show you. As you get up to the house, there's already been some granite banding that was proposed and approved in the earlier project, and that is carried out in this additional work. And as we move to the pool area next, I'll show you images of these different materials, but it'll be bluestone paving, granite banding, and that's what this is calling out here in this plan. So the next set are some existing conditions photos. Here you have the view from the street. We'd be preserving these trees and working a fieldstone wall, natural stone, handcrafted, laid up, consistent with other walls in the neighborhood, and back planting it with vegetation, just again carrying the street line. So this is the view, the existing condition, but I just described what would be the proposal. Moving to the next image, we have this is the existing driveway curb cut, and right after it leaves our site here, it takes a very sharp hairpin turn. So you can't see what's coming around the corner at you. There's no opportunity to back up. It's a single path. Again, it poses issues with emergency vehicles in the current configuration. The vegetation that you see here would be retained. The large spruce trees would remain, the large canopy trees would remain, and a fieldstone wall would be worked in on both sides of the driveway just to provide a little continuity along the streetscape. Next slide, please. This is as you're proceeding up the drive, and it isn't until you take this first turn that you even start to get a glimpse of the existing residence at the top of the hill, but that's the current condition there. This is where the secondary drive, if it was to be approved, would meet up. So it's not two driveways going all the way up. It's just to this first blind curve to give us a little opportunity for to reduce some of the geometry and to allow for a little improved circulation. And here we're continuing up the driveway. Again, you can hardly see the residence at the top, but this is the configuration. It's quite a steep drive, and again, no opportunities to turn around until you get to the very top. And here we're getting close to the crest. We're going to have one more turn, and we're making our way up, and then we make our way up. And this is the existing house that you with renovations that you approved 3 or 4 years ago. We were before you to seek your approval. You can see the fieldstone walls, the granite paving, the bituminous paving driveway. These are materials that we continue to use on the project. The fieldstone wall at the street would probably take on a more relaxed character and more consistent with the walls along Lexington Road. But the walls up around the pool and the improvements at the pool area would match what you see in this photograph. This is the existing lawn condition, and this is the this is where the pool house, and cabana would be located, not in the woodland area, but within the lawn area. And this is just a panorama as we sweep around. There's, I don't know if it's 100 or more feet of wooded condition beyond the existing lawn, where before we get to conservation lands, but there's a significant buffer which would remain of existing woodlands and buffering in that area. This is just a panorama as we sweep around the lawn. We preserved many of the trees, and we've tried to establish a new generation of trees, as you can see with some of these new plantings. The area was hit really hard by a super burst just before we did the previous project, and we worked hard to remove the downwood while preserving a lot of the mature vegetation as an anchor that we're building our new building back the vegetation on the property on. This is a property on Estabrook Road, and we're showing this because we feel this is more in the character of the wall that we propose. We would certainly do a mock-up and make sure that it's really, fitting of place, but this is the kind of wall that we're proposing along Lexington Road. And this is just a view of the project that exists after phase 1 was completed, and what we're seeking to extend with the new pool and pool house accessory buildings. This is a image of the driveway character proposed. The proposed lights. Again, we wouldn't have an exposed luminaire, but this is the driveway character that we're seeking for approval. Some wall details. Again, this would be mainly up at the pool area. These are some of the gardens that we'd be proposing at the pool, similar in character to this. Bluestone steppers. This is the bluestone paving. This is the existing terrace, but again, we're just building on this character that's been established for the property. This is an example of a pergola structure that would be similar to what we're proposing with a masonry fireplace. And an image of the pool area that I feel is inspirational.
Can somebody go on mute? We have a lot of background noise that's interrupting the speaker.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's probably me because I'm remote and I'm in a hotel lobby, so I apologize for that.
All right.
I'll do my very best to try to keep this brief. I think we're almost through. So there's a couple lighting cuts to come. This is a little path light. It's about 18 inches high. It's all shrouded. Those would be used in bed areas where we can conceal them. This is another example of that same light, a little path light. This is a light where we have steps. It's a down light. It's completely shrouded. It can be either located in walls or in paths. These are all keyed out with color and the locations on the plan, but I think you get the idea. These are very small lights. This is about 4 or 5 inches square, and it's all completely shrouded. This is what it looks like when it's set in the wall at the stair. It's bronze and it has a natural weathering finish, dark to dark brown. This is a little down light. This would be up underneath the pergola. So there would be no light trespass. It's just a task light. And here it is being applied. You can hardly see them, but they're tucked up under the rafter tails there. Yeah, right there. And then this is our proposed lantern with the fully shrouded luminaire. And this is an example of the post that we're proposing. So one is the lantern, and then the other is the post. So, but again, the luminaire would be completely shrouded to avoid light trespass and within the lumen limits that of your bylaws. This is just a little path light that's actually set in the paving and washes the paving. So we'll see a photograph of it. It's very innocuous. And again, it's dark sky compliant. So here you can see the light just washing the pavement to provide task lighting. And I do apologize for the background noise. Is that the complete landscape presentation? I think that concludes the materials for the landscape presentation. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them now. I could take questions later, or I can pass this off to Ruth Bennett for her presentation of the architecture.
Why don't we go ahead and give Miss Bennett the opportunity to present the architectural plans. And then at the end, each commissioner will comment and ask questions, and then we'll have questions from the public as well.
Okay. And if you'd be kind enough to mute me, then I won't have the background noise. I apologize.
Sure. Welcome, Ms. Bennett. I think that you are on.
Thank you. Will you be sharing architectural? So as Dan said, we're proposing a carriage house and a cabana in the back half of the property. The floor plans that you're looking at right now are the carriage house. It would be a two-bay garage on the first floor and then an exterior dwelling unit on the second floor. And you can see that the architectural character of both structures being proposed is in the Georgian Revival architectural style, so that it's in keeping with the main house. So some of these elements that you'll see are a symmetrical facade, and that will have the features of pilasters capped by pediment and a fan light. The top left drawing is the face of the carriage house that faces the driveway. So you're looking at the two carriage house overhead doors, 3 windows that are for the accessory dwelling unit above, and then a pediment with a fan light. And then off to the side, you're seeing a covered portico that would be the entryway for people going to the second floor. And then the top right drawing that you're looking at is the elevation facing the pool. So some of the details that we're using are also, in keeping with the Georgian Revival style of pilasters, the casement windows with shutters, a pediment, fan light. The structure would have a shiplap siding. And then the railing that you're seeing for the balcony overlooking the pool will match what we did on the main house. It's a Chippendale pattern railing. And then the bottom 2 elevations that you're seeing are the east and west elevations, so the side elevations. The one to the left actually faces a conservation land, the next property, and the one to the right faces the main house, and you can kind of see a trellis. And again, the similar architecture elements of pilasters, pediment, fan light, and the covered portico. There's also a stone base that's field stone base that again is a detail that we matched from the main house. This is a building section showing that we're meeting the 24-foot maximum height for an accessory dwelling. And the ADU square footage, meaning the 750 square feet. And this is the floor plan for the cabana. It's a one-story structure. And it's broken up into 2 pavilions, left and right pavilion, with a covered terrace in between. So the left pavilion, you can see the table and a small kitchenette. And then in the right pavilion, that will house a changing room, a powder room, and a stair to conditioned storage in the basement. And these are the elevations. Again, it's a one-story structure. It's 17.5 feet. And the architectural features again are, in keeping with the Georgian Revival style. So it's a symmetrical elevation with pediments, columns, and pilasters. And the materials will all match what we used on the main house with the stone base, shiplap siding. The pediments will match the scrolled modillions as you'll find on the main house. So everything is in keeping with the Georgian Revival style. And this is a simple building section, again, just to show you that we're at just under 18 feet, 17.5 feet. And the left and the right hand side of the structure have interior spaces, and then the middle space is a covered outdoor seating area.
Well, thanks very much, Ms. Bennett. One point that I wanted to ask our town planner from the perspective of the purview of the commission about this proposal is that I think that the south elevation of the house obviously looks into the public way. I think that the north elevation also looks into the area of the Miriam Close.
And Gowing Swamp.
The Gowing Swamp, and on the east side we have the Miriam Close, also conservation restriction area. So I assume that there's no question that the south elevation and the north elevation are definitely our purview, as is the west one. But is there public access to the part of the Miriam Close conservation restriction that would make this visible from that as a public way? In other words, is that side of the Miriam Close conservation path a public way?
Dan, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think I'm going to ask Ms. Clifford to answer that question, because I think she has the information.
Right, we did look into the conservation restriction, and it does not require public access. I actually have not driven up the road to see if it would be visible from the road in that neighborhood. But in terms of the conservation land, that public access is not required on that portion of the land. However, it is required on the north side, the conservation land to the north.
Mr. Chairman, it's Bill.
Please go ahead.
I was actually working on the Gowing Swamp Trail the past couple of days, and it's a little hard without a structure to be seen where the cabana is going to go. But I think from the path, which I understand from Ann as a public way, you can sight down that side property line, the east side property line. It's unclear to me, again, without a poll that gives you some reference, how much of it is visible.
Okay, so I think that this is a point worth clarifying from the beginning. I think that there's no question about the south and north and the west elevation. But I believe that the east elevation is also part of our purview, because I believe that from Lexington Road, if there were to be a structure constructed as proposed, that probably could be seen at least certain parts of the year. And I think that the paths that go around the Going Swamp, as Mr. Hewitt has correctly pointed, will have a visual on that perspective. So I believe that the HTC has a purview over all aspects of this project. So having clarified that point, I'm going to ask the commissioners for comments, and I will start with Melinda Shumway.
Okay, so I'll start off by saying, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure, because I'm calling from a different place. So my first take was we didn't have purview on this, because I do know this property. I didn't know that there was access on the east side up along there. And so hearing this, I think, okay, we just have to have a site visit, and we need to know how high you're going up. And we need some sort of, I mean, some people have put balloons up, some people have put, 20-foot, whatever, whatever you can rig, let's put it that way. Okay, so that we can get an idea, because
Yeah.
quite honestly, this is not a path I've ever walked up on. I've been in this home, not with the previous person, but before that. And I always wondered why I didn't have a pool, to tell you the truth. But I just think we have to see it. If in fact it is in the public way, we need to have some sort of physical structure that we can compare the height to with the trail. And that's all I have to say.
Thanks very
The
much.
driveway's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that.
Thanks very much, Melinda. Catherine.
I agree with Melinda. I think it would be great to be able to just physically see the property and see what this 24-foot height of the roof for the carriage house is going to appear from that portion of the trail or that access from the east. Otherwise, though, I think the application is very, very thorough, very well thought out. I think the application and inclusion of the chosen materials and finishes is excellent, beautiful, very much in keeping with both the character of the house and the area. So I have no issues with that. I also think the additional portion of the driveway is both pretty subtle, and I do understand the safety concerns. So I think that's, again, in terms of a programming and safety perspective, not a bad idea whatsoever. And that's all.
Thanks very much, Catherine. Bill Hewitt. Let's you'll have an opportunity at the end, and so we can answer other questions.
This is a superbly prepared application. Thank you for the obvious time that went into preparing it. The keyed photographs and things were really quite well done. My comments are almost exclusively with respect to the front section and the Lexington Road. I have a different view than my colleagues. I find the addition of what I guess is 175 square feet of granite in what's a very short frontage to be out of character with the neighborhood. And I just wanted to, I understand now the purpose. I suspect there's other ways of providing a small driveway spur that would allow a trespasser to turn around more discreetly. It just seems out of keeping with what are otherwise quite modest entryways along that section of the road. You have two lights instead of one, so on and so forth. The second is the you used the phrase planking for the granite at the Lexington Road. The drawings say cobblestone, and your photograph of Rasmussen's driveway shows cobblestones, not planking. So I'm curious which of the two it is. My understanding is that planking is generally considered more in keeping in Concord than cobblestone. Third, the piers. Again, the Rasmussen style pier, which is probably not called a pier, it's a fence post, seems perfectly in keeping. I would want to see the dimensions, both the square and the height, and the surface finish. A pier could turn into a 10 by 10 polished granite obelisk, and that's certainly not in keeping with that neighborhood. I think that the landscape additions at Lexington Road look terrific. And then my final question is whether the pool machinery, I may have missed it, but I didn't see where the pool machinery was and how that is screened from what might be a public way view from the northeast corner. I just didn't see that. That's a tiny concern, but it may be worth noting. So, thank you.
Thanks very much, Bill. Dennis.
My comments will probably echo Bill's to a certain extent. I'm not sold on the second driveway. I certainly would like to see what the wall is going to look like. We've had concerns about walls in Concord and what they look like and how formal this would be. I also am not sold on the lamppost going up the driveway or at the beginning of it. I would prefer to see sort of mid-sized granite with downlights. You really want to wash the driveway. You don't want to really, even though you have a downlight, it's still going to light the landscape. So I prefer something that's lower post, maybe washing the driveway going up. And the idea of getting back to the second driveway, you could put simple turnouts on the drive going out where someone could pull over if you need to go up the driveway. And have you really tested emergency vehicles and they can't get up there? I don't question that, but I'd like to know more about it. Anyway, those are my comments. I think I would agree with everybody. It's a beautiful plan and it's very handsome. I actually lived in this house for a summer many years ago, back in the 80s. So when it was a much smaller house than it is now.
Thanks very much, Dennis. Walter.
Well, I took any number of notes as this was going along, and most of them are things that have been covered. I was wondering what a winter view would look like from Lexington Road, which I think is the first thing, as the chair that you pointed out. I still have that as a question, if there's anything that has been snapped in the past, so we could see what that actually looks like. I also was thinking of a dog leg on the driveway. That was what came to my mind to start as a pull-off. I have people come into my driveway too, but there it's much easier to turn around. I understand the concern there and the concern about emergency vehicles, but I echo what Dennis was saying about that. I'd like to know what the actuality is and what the measurements really are for that. I'm concerned mostly, I guess, about the second driveway and about the wall along Lexington. I think if I'm coming close to quoting, saying that it was consistent with other walls in the neighborhood, I'm not sure there are other walls that look exactly like that directly in the neighborhood. And the concern about adding stone walls to what is a scenic byway, linking two different parts of very historic areas, I think is something that needs to be given a lot of thought rather than just approved. If it were the case, I think the chiseled squared field stone, those stones may very well have come from a field, but that's not my idea of what a field stone wall would be. Certainly not what an historic, what a wall that was referencing the history of its location would be. I can go on a little bit, but I think everybody else has covered things. Magnificently prepared proposal, I agree. And yes, I think a site visit is something that we need to do.
Thanks very much, Walter. I will echo the comments of my fellow commissioners. I will say that we will need to have a very specific plan to how the wall is going to look like, and I will ask our town planner to make Mr. Gordon and Ms. Bennett the booklet of the booklet that we have that has all the walls in Concord, so they can have a historically informed design, which I think it's going to sustain very well the historic references that this very, very historic road has. I also share the concerns of fellow commissioners about the driveway. I think that the two entrances, it may be very intrusive into the general appearance of the area. And I'm concerned that there's going to be a lot of loss of vegetation by the construction of that second entrance. I would vote for an architectural solution that allows for a car to make a U-turn in a more functional way. And then I will ask the applicant that it seems that it's very clear that we're going to have a site visit, which I think will be very, very positive. And that in that case, we would be very interested in knowing what are the height of the structures and the perimeter of the structure, so that can be staked out and put some poles or masts that give the reference of the 24 feet height of the buildings as proposed on the eastern part of the property. I'm gonna ask for public comments first, and then I'm gonna ask Mr. Gordon and Ms. Bennett to answer questions, make more comments. So are there any public comments?
Yeah. So hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm the public.
Yes, exactly. You're the public.
So,
Kindly identify yourself.
Okay, so my name is Jessica Bethany, and I live at 2 Edmonds Road Residential Development Trust. And I'm here at the bequest of Holly Kratzley, who I think submitted a letter to the Historical Commission with a few concerns about the conservation restriction and impingement upon the boundary lines. Does the commission have that letter?
Yes, the commission does have that letter, and it was made available to the commissioners, and it's actually in the website. Okay.
So I'm just here to reiterate those concerns. And also, I guess some of us would like to know when the date of the site visit might be. So I'm assuming the public can participate in that visit?
Yes, as a matter of clarification, without interrupting your comment, yes, the public definitely has access to that site visit. And the commission is aware of the letter of Holly Kratzley.
Okay.
And you know, the commission, the Historic Districts Commission has certain purviews and certain mandates, and you know, the keeping of boundaries and the respect for property lines and so forth. It's probably not within the purview of the Historic Districts Commission as such. But we're very much aware that that may be an issue, and certainly all the decisions of the commission will be informed, but all the factors that are relevant to the construction of a structure there. And those includes the factors mentioned by Holly Kratzley's letter.
Right. And so the only thing, I guess, I have been charged with finding out the date of the site visit.
It will be part of the public record, and will be advertised to the 4 cardinal points.
Okay, because Holly wasn't sure. It's always advertised in a way that people know it's happening. So would you maybe inform me so I can just make sure that she does know where it would be advertised?
Where it's in the website of the Historic Districts Commission. That's the first thing. And there's a set of agendas that have all the agendas of all the meetings of all the commissions in Concord. And
Okay.
site visits are very widely advertised, and actually they have
Okay.
to be those by law. So there's no question that
Okay,
it will
I
be
will
very
reassure
much
Holly.
publicized.
Okay, I will reassure her that there will be easy access to that.
Oh, yeah. And she
Okay.
better wear her boots.
Yes, we all know about that. Well, thank you very much. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments. Ms.
Okay,
Butler?
take care. Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Leah Butler and I live at 533 Lexington Road. So I live, if you're looking at 525, right to the right of it. I would just say that I had written a letter in opposition of the second driveway. And now that I'm hearing a little bit more about the stone wall, which I love the idea of a stone wall. But in this case, I'm a little concerned about it. The driveway first, I think what is not sort of shown in the video, in the photos and the illustrations that we saw is that my driveway is actually almost to the property line, very, very close on the left. So the driveway that is the proposed additional driveway would be extremely close to what is existing hardscape. So I think that that should be noted in that when you're walking along Lexington Road right now, there is a long driveway that 525 has, which is totally fine. And then a huge amount of lovely parkland, green space, trees, bushes, et cetera. And then with the addition of this driveway along my driveway, it will become a sea of hardscape. And, you know, so I think that really, I hope that the HDC will look at that closely because, you know, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people walking down all the way down to, you know, to the national park land every day. And that's just a lot of hardscape. And I don't feel like that's in keeping with sort of the standard we have for, you know, the American mile. So that's just my feeling there. And then if we have additional hardscape, which is the stone wall, it feels again like more hardscape that would almost come to my driveway. It just feels like an immense amount of hardscape. So that's my thought there. And then, of course, I'm very, you know, interested in whether or not things show from the trails. People are above my house on the conservation land all the time, daily. They walk back there all the way up through, you know, over towards, you know, all the way in Gowing Swamp, all the way around. There's a huge, you know, amount of trails back there. And I remember maybe 15 years ago, a friend of mine who lives on Monument Street wanted to put a chicken coop in. And the HDC rightly needed to come and do a site visit to make sure the chicken coop was appropriate for the boaters in the river. So, and that's sort of, you know, the care that I know this commission, because I know many of you will take with this as well. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks very much, Ms. Butler. Are there any other public comments? Jim, if you identify yourself.
Thank you. My name is Jim Tabner. I'm an attorney. I'm representing the Cheng family. Erica Cheng is, you can see her name. The Cheng family lives at 285 Independence Road. Their property is to the left as you look up from Lexington Road. And the driveway is actually a common driveway. Part of it is, and the Cheng family just wants to weigh in on this to the extent that there are alterations to the driveway. They haven't been consulted, but they do have legal rights to that driveway, and they want to have input into the construction or reconstruction of the driveway.
Okay, maybe I'll ask our town planner to put a map, maybe one of the Google Maps, to see exactly what are we talking about, because I am not getting an image of the relationship of 285 Independence Road with 525 Lexington Road. Can we do that, Anne? or Hay? Oh, good. Okay. Can we go to, can we put Google Maps there to see where's Independence Road and,
Sure. And you can see the property line here too, which goes right up the middle of the driveway.
okay.
So Google Maps, just.
Yeah, no, I'm just wanting to see where's 285 Independence Road.
This may have something to do with another entrance, which I think may still be used. I never went up the front road when I lived there. I came off Independence Road because of the drive. And I don't know if an old right of way still exists there that would come up from Lexington and cut through that property over to Independence. So I don't know what the story is on that other drive.
Yeah, I have walked that area many times. And I don't, okay. So there's Independence Road, and there's the property. And is anything being proposed to the side of Independence Road? Not at least from the application. Do we agree, Mr. Taberner? Mr. Tabner?
So I think that it's not clear, but that old right of way does exist down to Lexington Road, and the family just wants to be a part of any discussion to the extent that that is altered, because they
Okay.
do have legal rights to that right of way.
Okay, so what you're saying is that there's a pathway that goes between Independence Road and Lexington Road that goes through the property being, which is now referred to as the Davis property, where all these changes are going to take place.
That is correct.
And in your opinion, the changes proposed would affect the access of the Chengs to that part of the property.
I think they want to make sure that it won't.
Well,
it's not clear.
Well, I would say categorically that the Historic Districts Commission will not have any purview on that aspect of the matter. You see, I think that our mandate is to consider the physical appearance of the structures that are seen from the public road. And the reason that I asked you for clarification, because I didn't know exactly what the reference was, and I didn't know if it had anything to do with what is being proposed, but I don't believe that any of the structures that are being proposed have any bearing from the standpoint of their appearance and their historic relevance. So my suggestion would be that you bring up that matter with maybe the zoning commission or the property owners of 525 Lexington Road in order to clarify that, because I don't think that has anything to do with the Historic Districts Commission, in my opinion.
Sure.
Here's the map if you want to see, and the property line.
Yeah. Okay, well, that it's a matter of boundaries and property demarcations. Okay, are there any other public comments? If there are no public comments, I'm going to ask Mr. Gordon and Ms. Bennett to make any additional final comments.
We do have somebody raising their hands.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kate, if you could identify yourself, I apologize for not.
That's okay.
Too many faces.
My name is Kate Kilty. I'm here to represent my parents who could not join tonight. They are Sarah Grimwood and Michael Kilty. They live at 520 Lexington Road, which is the property that's directly opposite Lexington Road from the property being discussed. They did submit a letter, so I just wanted to make sure that was clear and was received against the addition of the second driveway. I also believe they would be against the stone wall and the lights, for the reasons that our neighbors have already expressed. So I just wanted to make sure their points were also known. Thank you.
Thanks very much. You are referring to the letter of Greenwood, is that correct? Or Butler?
Yes, my mom's last name is Grimwood. Grimwood. Thank you.
Greenwood. Okay, so that letter it's in the website, and it's available to us, and we'll certainly will take into account the issues that it raises.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. So I go back to Mr. Gordon and Ms. Bennett, if they want to clarify any issues that were brought by the public discussion. You are muted. You're still muted. Any comments?
Just very, one point of clarification. It seemed that two commissioners had a different perspective of the trails to the east of the property. Now, I know there are public trails to the north, but I didn't know that the trail in the conservation restriction was a public trail.
I'll maybe clarify it since I'm the one that raised it. You're correct. My point was that the public way trail that's to the north keeps going. And from the northeast corner, you can see down that property line. What I can't say, obviously, is how much you can see, which is why I think several of the commissioners asked for a witness post or something like that.
Absolutely. And we're totally open to having a site walk and reviewing this. But to just in this regard, the views from the public trails to the north are several hundred feet back. There may be some visibility, but if you review the plan, we're proposing a lot of screening, additional screening in that area. So I just wanted to clarify that. And then I'll be very brief, but Bill and Dennis had comments about the entry and the wall and the planking, the wall in the character of the community, which would be a historic wall, are details that we really would want to make sure we get absolutely right. And lighting the posts and not doing post lights, I think we fully embrace that. We want to work with the commission to make sure that this is really an enhancement. And I think there's a perception that we're producing a lot of granite, a lot of walls, a lot of structure. This isn't the case. We want to set the walls back. We want to provide greenery in front of the walls for them to be softened. There's going to be additional planting to really add to the quality of the landscape in this area. So I think that the intent, and everybody has a right to disagree, but the intent is something that would add to the quality of the streetscape, not take away from it. And we want to work with you so that we're all happy with all of that. And I just want to be brief in terms of the winter condition. Evergreen trees are being proposed as well as deciduous trees, so it would be effective screening in terms of the winter. I think I've gotten most of I think I've addressed most of the concerns that we've heard tonight. But again, we're looking forward to working with you and at the site visit. I think things will help by walking the site. So thank you very much for your time and consideration tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Ms. Bennett, you have any other comments?
I did just
Clarifications?
add the question about the height that you're concerned about for the carriage house. And I think that will be resolved again when we're on site. The height of the carriage house is aligned with the existing height of the garage on the main house. So you'll see when you're there, it'll be easy to see when you're there exactly what the 24 feet is, because we everything is aligned with the existing garage height. And then also the cabana, we do step that down to under 18 feet so that it's closer to the wood and the wood area. I think the one-story building will be less visible than imagined.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks very much. It seems that there's a consensus in part of the commission to have a site visit. So I believe that we should continue the application, so I will ask the commission for a motion, and this motion, of course, can be to approve with conditions, reject, or continue. So is there a motion? May I have a motion to continue the application of 525 Lexington Road?
I'll move that we continue the application of 525 Lexington Road pending a site visit to be scheduled.
Any seconds?
Second,
All right, Melinda. You're muted.
Sorry about that. I second.
You said yes because it was already seconded. Are you agreeing?
Yeah,
Are you voting yes? Yes, okay.
I am.
Catherine,
aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So the usual site visit is going to be during the morning of the next HTC meeting, and if I'm correct, that will be August 17th. Is that correct, Ms. Clifford?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so we will set the site visit for 8 o'clock in the morning on August 17th at 525 Lexington Road. The most important thing from our perspective is to have a reference of what's the height of the buildings on the side of the house. And if you could put some poles or flags or whatever, so we can get a reference for that. And then it would be interesting also to have markers on where you're planning or what the proposal is for the second driveway on the front. I think that would be extremely helpful as well. So we shall look forward to see you in 2 weeks. And thanks very much for this very thorough and high quality presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, so the next item on the agenda, if I can find the agenda. It's disappeared. It's the continued public hearings, which the first one is the First Parish of Concord, 1 Church Green, and I will check with our town planner. I understand that the applicant has requested a withdrawal without prejudice. Is this correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so I will ask for a vote of all members of the commission to accept the withdrawal of this application. As this is an administrative matter, I will ask all members of the commission to vote. So I will start with Walter.
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Catherine.
Aye.
Melinda.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The next public hearing is Pat Nelson, 1300 Main Street, the Church Street Historic District, and the applicant also has requested a withdrawal without prejudice. And I ask again, Ms. Clifford, to confirm that that is the case.
Yes, that's the case.
All right, so I'm going to ask all members of the commission to vote as this is administrative matter. So Melinda.
Aye.
Catherine.
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Dennis.
Aye.
Walter.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. So I think that concludes the public hearings and the continuations. Now, one question, is it possible to consider in the other business the minutes of May 18 that were made available to us a few weeks ago or some time ago? Or that would go against the rules of having it on the agenda, Ms. Clifford?
I believe it's fine for you to consider it. I know that Haley checks into the Mullins rules and all of that, and I don't have that answer, but she might be able to give you some guidance on that.
Well, has anybody reviewed the minutes from May 18th?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so I think that
Let me just really quick, Louise, let me just check.
okay.
Because I know we got several Mullins rules from everybody, and I just want to make sure.
Okay.
So I believe I got one from you, Melinda, for that meeting.
Yes, I do believe I sent mine.
Yes.
For
And I
Did-
did listen to it, but I have not sent the signed Mullins.
Okay, yes, if you could send that to me. And
Yeah.
Dennis, did you also review it?
Right, as I reported to you, but I was out of town, so I have not signed anything yet.
Okay, all right. So the confirmation that you guys have reviewed it is fine, but if you could send those Mullins rules to me afterwards, that would be excellent.
Great.
Okay, so I believe that it's appropriate to consider a motion to approve the minutes from May 18, 2023. May I have such motion?
Can we, is there room for discussion?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, just two very minor points.
Okay,
One is I'm quoted as, I believe, asking where the rear of the property is, which is slightly misleading. I wanted to make sure that that we all understood what the applicant's view of what the rear of the property was. And that may, if somebody's coming back to this in years in the future, that might be a reasonable clarification. If nobody cares, like I do, that's fine as well.
no, I think that we should all care about the
Yep.
exactitude of the minutes. So what I will ask you, Walter, is that if you can send that observation to Haley and Anne, they
I
will
certainly
incorporate it
can.
in the minutes, and then we will postpone the approval for the next meeting. So
Well,
Well,
And then
what
there's-
we can do is what we can do is you can approve it as amended, so we can still make those
Okay.
changes.
all right,
Okay, and then there's another one as well, which there's a reference on the Wright Tavern property to an existing historic door was featured. And I believe that it should actually be accommodated the way that it was being described. It wasn't that that door, which we were concerned was going to be blocked or inaccessible. It wasn't that it was being featured. It was that it was being accommodated. That's simply that. So I can explain that in context as well and send that along, but that's the second one.
all right. So I will ask the commission for a motion to approve the minutes from May 18 with the amendments indicated by Associate Commissioner Walter Clay. May I have that motion? Or do
Sure.
I
I
have-
move to approve the minutes of 5/18 with the amended sections expressed by Walter Clay's comments.
Second?
Second,
All right. So Walter,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
William, Bill,
I,
you are Catherine,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So are there any other issues that any of the commissioners may want to bring up?
no,
We're
sir.
still within decent time. I will mention that every month there's a chair's breakfast, and that usually the chairs are the ones who get those reminders, but actually it's an open meeting and anyone can go. So I will take it. I should have had this initiative much earlier, but I will share with all members of the Historic Districts Commission the day of this chair's breakfast. So those who want to attend may attend. They are always very interesting, as Melinda mentioned.
What are they? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, every month there's a meeting at town hall of the commission chairs.
Oh, okay.
Where all the chairs go, and you are asked to give a little update about what's going on.
Cool. Thank you.
So, and it's usually very, very informative, because then you figure out what the other commissions are doing, which is sometimes obscure. So if there are no other issues or any other matters to discuss, I'll ask for a motion to dismiss. To adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second,
Second.
Second.
I'll ask for a voice vote. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
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 All right, well, thanks very much. Good to see you all.
And you have a good evening.
Good
Good
evening,
evening to you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Enjoy
Okay.
Maine.